Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we go two things that they are very exciting for me, and one of them is, as you can see, we are at a different location. I'll get into that in a minute. And the other one is that we're gonna replace the steering rack on the Forester for a STI steering rack, quick steering rack. So before we get too deep into today's video, let's roll the intro. I'll give you a proper tour of the unit when everything is into place, everything is nice and tidy. At the minute we're just going to use it to do the steering rack, so yeah, it's a mess at the minute, but I'm beyond excited for this. Working for what, 2 years now on my drive, it wasn't something that really appealed me, but I had no choice, and now luckily opportunity came up and we got a unit that we're going to be sharing with my mate Lee, and I couldn't be more excited, as I said. So I'm going to start rambling and I'm going to show you what we got and what we're going to do today. And welcome to the unit. As I said, once everything is tidy and into place, I'll go through everything and I'll show you exactly what we're doing, what is going to go where. We got a few bits to go. As you can see, this is a 2CV van basically, and my mate Lee is remaking all the panels because, as you can see, it's a bit rusty and you have seen better days. So that is something that we're probably gonna be showing on the channel. There is another one back there, and as you can see, some patterns on the wall and what have you. But today it's not about that, it's not about the unit. Today is about the Forester. And as you know, if you watch this video up here, we had changed the UJ on the steering rack because we had an issue with it. We had a knock. I thought the issue was the UJ because it did have a bit of play on it, but we replaced it. And I'll put the video in here, but you can hear after we replaced that it still has a knock. So what we're gonna do today is replace it. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about maybe getting this one refurbed or just getting another XT steering rack. But my mates, mostly Ben and Pete, tried to get me to actually replace it for an STI one because they're quicker, better response, better feedback, and I sort of, you know, didn't need much convincing. So I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to show you the steering rack we got. So here it is, our 2001 WRX STI JDM steering rack. As you can see, it's a bit different than ours. Ours doesn't have this on the inner rods, but in reality it should fit as it stands. What I'm going to do is, when I got the other one out, I'm going to put it here next to each other, measure and make sure that the distance we got in there and in that corner over there is the same, so we can use it. Of course we're going to have it aligned. I did order some new bushes, but they didn't come in time, so I couldn't wait any longer. The knocking is very annoying. I've been putting off this job for ages, so I wanted just to get it done. So that's what we're going to do today. Unless you got a ramp, the first thing you're going to have to do is put the car on jack stands and of course remove the under tray. So we got plenty of space to be able to get under there and remove our steering rack. Now remove the wheels as well, because I mean, if you don't know it already, we're gonna have to remove the track rod ends, so they are right here. So we're gonna have to remove that nut there, and the same thing on the other side. So we need the wheels off, as it makes it way easier. On a side note, don't do like me and don't drive your car before you're gonna be doing this, because now the engine is nice and warm and I just been down there and I'm sweating. So if you're gonna do that, bear in mind that you're gonna have to let it cool down, otherwise you're gonna get either very sweaty or you're gonna get burned. One thing to bear in mind as well is, once you jack up the car, make sure that your steering is locked so it can't move, and this way we'll keep it straight, and when we put the other one it should go in straight as well. Right, so we're gonna start by removing this nut here for the track rod end. It's a 19, so once you get the pin out, you should be able to just remove it. just like that. So let's do the same thing on the other side. Once you have removed both nuts, you're gonna have to remove the track rod from the knuckle. Now, there's two ways to go about this, maybe more. The first one, it is basically to what I do if I'm not gonna use the track rod anymore, is get the nut just flat with the actual bolt, so right here, and then just hammer it until it gets nice and loose as it's now. As well, you can use one of those ball joint tools, so you can put it here, hammer it, and what it will do is separate the ball joint from the knuckle. This time I had to hammer it because I forgot my tool. So yes, in theory we're not going to be utilizing this anymore, so we should be fine. Anyway, they are nice and tight, so if we need to use them, it'll be okay. Once we've done that, what we're gonna have to remove now is our jacking point. Right here we got the jacking point right behind the sump. We're gonna have 1, 2, 3 and 4 12mm bolts, so we're gonna remove that, and that's gonna give us access to the steering rack that, as you can see, he's just right up there. So let's get them off and let's see what we're playing with. Alright, to remove them we're gonna have a 12mm bolt and a nut at the top. So there we go, one out. Let's see if I can go like that to the other side. Alright, once this one is out, we're gonna have to remove these two at the back, which I'm assuming they're gonna be captive ones. So let's have a go. Yep, they are captive. Alright, perfect. So now that we got the plate out, we can actually see our steering rack. So right there we can see our steering rack. Now we're gonna have bolt here, a bolt here, one there and one there, and that should be it for the actual rack itself. Of course, we got two lines that we can't see still from here. I'm going to show you in a minute. They're a bit above, coming from the reservoir. Basically, that's what we need to remove in order to get to the bolts that hold our steering rack to the subframe. Now, it's going to be a bit tricky because I don't want to take the subframes off. I don't want to take them out if I don't have to. As you can see, our track rod then goes across it, but I think if we pull it down, move it one side, we might be able to get off. If I have to, I will remove them, but ideally I don't want to take them off because the bolts are a bit rusty and I don't want them to break. Same thing on that side. So we'll see. If we have to take one out, we might remove one out and see if with one we can do it. I reckon if we remove just, let's say, this one, we can drop it this way, slide it out, and that's about it. As well as seen people removing the anti-roll bar. If I have to, I will let you know. This step that I'm going to do now, you can do it right at the beginning, you can do it midway, just before you remove your steering rack. It's up to you. So what we're going to do now is empty the reservoir, so we have no drops of steering fluid when we remove the steering rack, or at least not a lot of them. We're going to have some because, of course, as you can see, the lines go right down there, so we will have some fluid coming on the floor, but we don't want the whole reservoir. So let's do that. The way I've done it was with a syringe and a pipe on the end. I have a bigger one, I don't know what I put it, so with this one was a bit more of a hard work just because of the size of the pipe, or the size of the hole I should say. In our case, now that we got that empty, what we're going to do is go underneath and keep on removing bolts and see what else we need to remove in order to get our steering rack out. I decided to remove one of the rails just so it's a bit easier for ourselves, and we got 1, 2 and 3 14 mils here. That's 17, that is 17, and I believe this one is 14 and that one is 14. So if we go under the car, we can see now that we got no rail here, and what we're going to be able to do is, I'm being lazy, I didn't take the one on the other side. So what we're going to do is, when we remove the rack, we'll slide it that way, and then we can slide that track rod then out of there, and when we put the new one, we just reverse the process and we should be good to go. So now what we can do is remove the bolts that are holding in place our steering rack, and hopefully get to the nuts to remove the lines, and then we should be almost good to go. We need to remove as well the bolt that connects the UJ with the steering rack, but we'll do that in a second. I'm just going to lubricate them two first, and then I'll show you where that bolt is. I do not know how good you're going to be able to see it, but our nut basically that we need to remove is right, or bolt sorry, is right up there. Don't know if you can see it properly, but I'll show you in a minute. It's basically at the bottom of your UJ. Basically a bolt at the bottom of the UJ is at 12 mil, and it's not going to be too tight because if I remember correctly, it's only 24 Newton meters when you torque it. So you need to get a spanner there, remove that one off, so then we can remove the UJ from the actual steering rack, and then from there we can remove the two bolts, and as well we need to crack the lines. Now for the lines, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to check if I can get the steering rack to come down a bit, not fully, and see if I can get to one of the nuts that I show you that is right at the bottom or close to the bottom, and the other one we can get from the wheel arch. So I'll let you know how I do it. Actually, there's another way that you can actually get to your UJ bolt, and it is right there. So right here is the bolt, and the line that we need is right behind here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there, and that's 17. So if we remove this bolt for the UJ, remember it has a washer as well, crash washer there, so don't lose that. Now my idea is try to undo this nut right now from here, just at least to crack it, and then if I need to, what I'll do is I loosen this bolt from the top of the UJ that goes to the steering column, so then I can remove, I don't think you can see it. Oh yeah, maybe you can. So I can push the UJ up, and I go more space to actually get my spanner in place. So we'll see what we do. I've done quite a bit off camera. I actually ended removing the other frame and the anti-roll bar. So yeah, if you're doing this job, do that from the beginning. Remove the two rail frames, remove the anti-roll bar bushes, or basically brackets from there, so you get access to that nut right there, which is one of the ones that we need to crack, which is a 14 in my case, and the other one that I show you from the actual wheel arch is a 17. That one I was able to crack it from that side as well as this one, but if you remove this, I reckon you can get your ratchet, your spanner here, and crack it from here. So now, as you can see, even though we drain it, there's still a lot of fluid coming out. So I'm gonna let that finished, and then what I'm gonna do is remove the two bolts, and in theory we should be able to just bring it down to the floor and then install the new one. All right, let's try to remove the steering rack. Hopefully we don't get covered in shit. We gotta be careful though, because we got the lines there. So as you can see, we don't want to pull them. So let's see what we can do. Here we go, the two steering racks. This is the XT, and that is the STI that came from Japan. As you can see, the distance between these don't match, and the distance between these don't match, but the car is going to get tracked anyway. if you look closely, the distance between this one and this one is almost the same distance as between this one and this one. So we're gonna put it on, and then we'll deal with the tracking later on. As well, at some point I might even get new track rod ends if I can use my ones, and maybe new inners, we'll see. But now that it's out, let's get this one in and let's repeat the process backwards. One thing I'll say is that when you're removing your lines, as you can see right here, one of them and the other one right there, that is as much as it has to come out from the actual steering rack, from the actual hole. So bear in mind that you have to pull them out so you are able to then remove your steering rack. So don't junk them down, try to remove them. The top one comes easy, this one is very harder, but as you can see as well, they got quite a lot of movement, so it won't be that hard to actually remove them. Pushing a bit off camera, I got the track rod in on this side and on that side. I actually did end making both sides equal to my car, since I know my car has been tracked. Even though this one is going to be tracked again, I want to have the steering wheel as straight as I can. The steering rack is all in. I don't know if you can see it, but the nut in there for one of the pipes that comes from the reservoir is on, and the other one, the 17 at the back, is on as well. I did this one from here since I didn't have the anti-roll bar there, so you can tighten it right from here. And the one at the top, I did it just through the air wheel arch, just as I showed you before. So now we can put the rails in. Let's put them in. Once we got that, we're going to put the fluid and we're going to start bleeding the system. So come on, let's do it. All right, so everything that we removed from underneath is all back. The rails are on, the anti-roll bar is on. Of course, it's not tight all the way, because what I'm going to do is put on the floor, drive a bit forward, then tighten them so the car sits where it wants to sit. The next thing that you're going to be doing, which I already have done, is put some fluid in your reservoir. Now don't go higher than maximum when hot, which is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's going to be the line right there at the top. A bit more tedious job than I was expected, and covering shit, of course, as usual. But what we're going to do now, once we put the fluid in the reservoir, is with the engine off, we're going to do lock to lock slowly 5 times each way. I've read many things, different things, and some people do 15 one side, 15 the other with the engine off, and then they take the fuse off for the ignition and crank it a couple of times to make the pump move, and that way try to get the air bubbles from the pump. I reckon as well you could do it, as I said, 5 one side, 5 the other side, and then you can start the engine and then slowly as well go 5 to 5 until you see that the fluid is no longer going down. So it's up to you. Don't do what I'm gonna do, just do whichever you think is best for your car. I don't want to be responsible of you breaking anything. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is, as I said, we're going to do 5 each side, and then probably start the car and do a few more until the fluid is no longer going down or I can't see any bubbles coming out. All right, so as I said, we're going to do, we can do 5 to 10 lock to lock each side. So we're going to go slowly, very slowly. I can hear the reservoir. Don't know if you can hear it, but I can hear it bubbling. And as you can see right there, the level has gone down quite a lot. So we're almost on minimum when cold. So we're gonna top it up a bit. I don't know if you can see right in there, but you can see the bubbles, can you? Yes, you can see it right there. So we're gonna top it up a bit more, just to what it says, maximum when cold, and then we're gonna carry on with turning all the way to one side and all the way to the other. Let's do 10 each side. I'm gonna leave you here. I know you can't really see the reservoir there, but let's see if you can hear it. Once you bled your steering rack, what you're gonna have to do now is get the car on the floor and go for a test drive. do first a short one, just in case anything goes wrong. And what I recommend you to do is drive for a tiny bit, check that there's no knocks, try to do a bit of lock to lock and stuff like that, big circles if you can. And then after that, go and recheck your reservoir, just in case the fluid went down or you losing fluid somewhere. That way you're not going to be running your steering rack and dry or your pump and dry. Once you've done that, everything is fine, the fluid is not going down, you got no knocks, no weird noises, the steering wheel is nice and light, or as light as it should be. You'll be ready to actually go for a test drive, a proper test drive, and start driving your car and enjoying your new steering rack. I'm gonna make a video where I drive the car for a bit and we'll have a bit of a chat of the things that we've done in the car as well. The exhaust has been done, so now it sounds way better, and I want to show you how it sounds inside and outside of the vehicle, even though I already got this video up here. But the last thing you're gonna have to do is get your car tracked. You're gonna have to adjust your toe. Even if you got it quite close as I did, you still need to get it aligned, need to get it tracked, so the car drives straight and it's not pulling one tire more than the other, it's not pulling on your track rod ends, and most importantly, it's not pulling on your shafts. If your steering rack turns more to one side than the other, it could cause issues on your gearbox, it could cause issues on your differential, it could cause issues on your shafts. So bear that in mind. Once you've done it, book your car in, get it tracked, and I'm going to start rumbling here and I'm going to end the video. So as usual, thank you for watching, thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing if you do, and I shall see you very shortly.